We're being recorded.
I know it. Evan James,
Hi.
much for appearing virtually at our Julia Booksellers.
It is my absolute pleasure, and I'm completely honored that you are a fan of Cheer Up, Mr. Widdicombe.
I love this book. It is a total romp. So perfect for right now.
Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody needs to cheer up a little bit, and this certainly helps them, right?
I sure hope so. It's funny, I set out to write a comic novel, and I started writing it. It took me about 10 years from when I started writing it to when it was finished, or when it was published, I should say.
It's so intricately layered that I would think just the editing alone, from the characters and the running and the sort of the feverish midsummer night type of feel to it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was when I sat down to write. At the time, I was reading a lot of comedic fiction, and it was such a revelation for me that a book could be that way, and it could bring that kind of pleasure and delight and be kind of antic and just have a sense of playful anarchy. So yeah, I really spent a long time trying to learn from other comic books that really inspired me, and I'm really glad that it has that effect on people.
I loved all of the characters. Frank was a hoot. Frank, such a great character. I was thinking, what was the actor's name? Dennis Farina, or?
Oh yeah.
Right, he was like in Law and Order.
Right. That would be perfect.
Right?
I would love that. Please, if you're listening, Dennis, or any TV makers.
Right, he'd be perfect for the role.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did he come from, Frank?
He was actually, it's funny, he was the first voice that came to me. So he is definitely the genesis of the book. And I had been home visiting my family, who all live on Bainbridge Island, Washington, where the book is set and where I grew up. And it's a very interesting and to me funny in some ways community, and was the source for a lot of inspiration for the book. And I had gone to my family had gone to a Unitarian church meeting when I was home visiting, and there was this very young girl who came out and sang Amazing Grace in like a very American Idol style, dramatic, over the top way. And I was feeling very grumpy, as one, might when home visiting family. So I started having this kind of sort of grumpy monologue in my head, this curmudgeonly monologue. And I shifted it over to a character, and Frank kind of grew out of that.
He really is. He's such a great character. He's a really, even though he's so totally out there, he's really, like, believe it or not, for me, I was like, wow, he's actually grounding all the crazy people around him.
Yeah, it's funny how someone can be a sort of extreme character and the straight man at the same time.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of people around him. Carol, she's listening. Oh my God, I can just see her wanting to do the architectural digest of it.
Yes, and I sort of fell in love with each of the characters as I was writing, and they all have these sorts of obsessions and maybe frivolous extreme desires, but I also really connect with them. I'm a reader of decor magazines and World of Interiors, and these, I really appreciate a beautiful space, and I just love. So this brings me back a little bit to one of the first comedic books that meant a lot to me was Don Quixote. And what I love so much about that book is just having a character with a sort of fixation or obsession that completely takes over their life.
Right.
And so for Carol, that's kind of this image of creating the perfect home. For Christopher, it's rebelling against his parents at all costs, even though they accept him so aggressively.
I thought that was so funny that his biggest angst thing was the fact that his parents accepted him completely. He's like, oh my God, we should back up for a second. Because I'm just talking to you as a fan who has read the book, and we're having our own little mini book club. But maybe for the people out there, because I hand sell this book. And people were coming into the store.
Right.
In the good old days, I would hand sell this book to everybody because it fits so many people. But so let's sell it to them today. Can you give me a summary of the plot?
Yeah, so the book takes place over the course of one summer on Bainbridge Island, Washington. This couple, Frank and Carol Widdicombe, have moved to the island from California and bought this pretty grand house on the island and are in a sort of semi-retirement. Frank's a retired tennis professional, and as the book unfolds, he sort of becomes a self-help author of sorts. But Carol's ambition is to turn this house into a sort of writers and artists residency, as well as their own abode. So she invites a sort of Julia Cameron-like artist's way, creativity, self-help author to stay during the course of the summer. Their son is home visiting after being at art school for a while. And it's just a big ensemble comedy where there are other characters like their assistant and their gardener, and they all kind of cross in different ways, fall in love, have different conflicts, and
it's so funny the all of the ins and outs of all the characters. Some of them are very small and short, and others are lengthy. But it's just like it's like a 1930s movie. You know,
I love that.
Right. The people are just walking in and walking out. What's his name? The gardener, Marvelous Matthews.
Yeah, Marvelous Matthews.
What a great name. I mean, it's
Thank you. And it became a sort of running joke with myself while I was writing it over all of these years, because I don't remember how I hit on that name, but I thought I'm going to give him sort of a ridiculous, silly name. And then, after draft, I would think, should I reveal his actual name? And I decided I just never would.
No. It's a great name. It's what makes it, like you can almost see, like in the, going back to the 30s movies reference, you can almost see the credits rolling at the end and in the role of Marvelous Matthews. I mean, it's great.
Thank you. I'm a huge fan of screwball comedies of the 30s, 40s, 50s, and Bringing Up Baby and The Philadelphia Story,
right?
Friday. All of these films really are actually a big influence on my comedic writing.
And now that we're talking about this, I can actually see one of the things that I enjoyed. I'm holding this up again. One of the things that I so much loved about this book was the pacing.
Thank you.
It was just so fun and madcap, not manic. I didn't feel manic at all. It was just madcap and delightful through the entire thing. I remember when I was done reading it, I put it down and I went, that was uproar. It was uproarious. Right. It was the first time I was able to use the word tomfoolery in one of my references. I'm like, that was pure tomfoolery.
I take that as the highest praise, truly.
It was wonderful. And then we were talking earlier about, I think this is pretty good. I'm bad at this. Let's cover my face. We were talking about the cover art, which is, they did well by you.
They nailed it. Like I had said, it just feels like they took all of these very various elements of the book and this sense of controlled chaos and found just the right image to represent it. And I love that everything's kind of out of scale. The
Out of
house is
scale.
tiny, the cat's like Godzilla, and that feels like what life is like for these characters too. Really small things become blown out of proportion so quickly.
They really, and each of the storylines of each of the characters in the book are funny. And they could have gotten very serious. And I'm glad that they didn't. Because you know what? I read a lot of serious character studies and things. And it was a character study, but it was fun.
Yes.
Yes. So much fun. And I think that, I hope you're doing well in the court. Where are you quarantining?
In Brooklyn now.
In Brooklyn?
Yeah.
And you're doing well?
I am doing well. I'm actually writing and reading a lot.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
And
I need another book by you, Evan.
Thank you. I have a new book of essays that came out a few weeks ago, actually.
Oh my God, how come I don't have that in my hand? That would be
That's okay.
Thank you. There we go.
It's called I've Been Wrong Before.
I'm going to pick that up downstairs in 2 seconds.
It came out right at the beginning of the pandemic, so it's been a little odd, to say the least. But I am also now, I can tell you, I'm working on a follow-up Widdicombe book.
Yay! Yay!
I fell so in love with those characters too that they kept coming back to me, and I kept thinking about what happens after this book ends, and some years pass. So I've really started digging into writing that now.
Because Christopher's son is so young. There's so many places that he could go because he's striving really hard to be, angsty. And I'm hoping he never discovers, I'm hoping that he is surrounded by the love that he appears to be and just, takes for granted. Like, God bless him, I'd love to see where he goes. And Frank,
he and Michelle, Christopher and Michelle play an important central role in the next book.
Oh, good. Good. I can't wait. And you'll come to visit us and do it?
Yes, I would love to.
Yeah. And maybe when this stuff is over, when the world visits itself, Evan,
I'll be there
and visit. And because you know what, I miss two things about work in this thing is I miss my customers and I miss our authors.
Yes.
It doesn't feel the same. It's so nice to talk with it's so nice to talk with you specifically, but all of our authors. And thank you so much for doing this with me. This is my first and maybe last time I do this online. So it's been an honor to do it with you because Cheer Up, Mr. Widdicombe. It's a book that is rompy, uproarious, filled with tomfoolery, and a perfect book for a pandemic. Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Thank you. I'm honored too. And I look forward, if you're ever in Madison, I think we're stopping recording now, but if you're ever in Madison, by the store,